Start with the moves, don't wanna meditate. Girl, with you it's hard. Fill in the blanks, text me back, throw me a kiss instead of them tricks. Don't make it hard. I wanna celebrate, you know.
Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. This is Bruna, if you don't know me. I have a little challenge to do. So I'm basically taking part on this challenge with some crochet creators, crochet designers and artists, and I've decided to kind of record the process of me putting this dress that I want to do, that I'm not sure if I will be able to, hopefully. I have a couple of weeks to finish this, so you're probably gonna see different takes on this one, but hopefully I'm going to manage to finish this until the end of this month, which is March. So the challenge is called Saints and Sinners, and I've decided to go for the saint side of it because a lot of the creators, the designers are going for the sinner part of it, in which is probably a little bit easier because you can just make the crochet really dark with some reds and purples. My idea when I think about saint, oh well, the word saint, I think about angels, and when I think about angels, I think about the sky, and when I think about the sky, I think of the colors, or you think of sky and clouds. So that's how I came up with what I'm going to do. I'm going to be doing something with blue and white, in which they are right here. So these are the two shades I'm going to be using. These are the Bravissimo yarn, my favorite acrylic yarn ever, from Teslan.com, which is a number 4, if I'm not mistaken. Hopefully I'm not mistaken. So I love working with this yarn because it's not too thin or too thick, so we will be able to see a lot the nice detail of this dress that I'm planning. So I wanted to do something a little bit kind of summery. I did draw my idea. I'm going to be inserting the clip that I've done designing this. So the dress is going to consist of cups. I want it to be summery, so cups, some squares in which I already have them completed. They look so cute. It looks like little kind of stars. These stars here that I'm talking about, more spiky in a way. It looks incredible. I'm gonna share with you how I made this. And then the skirt of the dress will be a mini skirt in which I want to get like all white tights or maybe white fishnet tights. I want the skirt to be flowy and also nice and tight around the body, but I don't want it to be too tight, but I want to have both aspects in the skirt. So let's see how that goes. And also I want to add a slit. I don't know. The back, the strap will be laced up, oh well, laced down, because I want the bow to be kind of the tying of the bow to be at the bottom. And then I want to do some crossing as well at the back. It's going to be nice and thin straps as well. Let's see. These are all my ideas that I'm sharing with you. So the first thing that I've created was the cup. I have one already completed. This cup, it's amazing. It was the very first cup that I've learned when I was starting to crochet. Sorry for keeping you here so much at the beginning, but I really wanted to share all my ideas with you. But now let me share with you how I made the cup. So for this project I am using 3 different hook sizes. The 3.5 is going to be for the cups because I want it to be really nice and tight, the stitches, and not see-through because we don't want anything showing. And then for the squares and the joinings and everything, for the square part of the dress I'm going to be using the 5mm hook, and for the rest of the dress I'm going to be using a 6.5. So you will see these 3 hooks throughout the video. So to create the cup we are going to be starting from the top of the cup and then working our way down. So first you're going to be starting with a magic ring. So magic ring, and then you're going to be chaining 3 because we are going to be working with double crochets. So 1, 2 and 3, then into the ring, we are going to be working a double crochet, chain 1, and then 2 double crochets. This is the beginning of the cup, all right? If you want to make the beginning here a little bit thicker, then you can add more double crochets here. Maybe you can do 3 and 3 or 4 and 4, depending on the thickness you want here at the top. Then once you've done that, we can close the magic ring and then we can go up. So now to go up, we are going to chain 1. I always like to start, when I do this cup, I like to start with the chain 1, and then the very first one is going to be the double crochet. So you can do a chain 3 here at the beginning as well, but it's going to be up to you how you want to do this. And then I turn my project, and then I double crochet into this very first stitch. So we are basically not counting this chain as a stitch, we are going straight into the double crochet. And then you're going to double crochet on top of the next, into the next double crochet stitch. And now we do the increase, in which is going to be in the middle. So we are going to be doing into the chain 1 space. We are going to be doing a double crochet, so 1 double crochet, a chain 1, and another double crochet into that same chain 1 space. And then we have to finish it off with 2 double crochets exactly like the other side. So the next one is going to be on top of the double crochet into the double crochet stitch. And then the last one is gonna go into the chain 3 that we've created at the beginning. Find any stitch right on top of the chain 3 and then double crochet. So just doing that one more time. So chain 1, turn project, double crochet into that very first stitch, and then double crochet into the next 2 stitches that you have available, because we are increasing. So we have 3 stitches, 3 double crochets into the previous row here. So now we should also have the 3 right on top and then the increase in the middle. So when you get into the chain 1 space, you're going to be doing the increase, in which is 1 double crochet, chain 1, and another double crochet into the same chain 1 space, and then you can just finish it off with the double crochets, the same amount as on here the previous row. So we have 3, so it's going to be 1, 2, and 3. So here at the end you have the chain 1, so forget about the chain 1, just find the stitch right on top into the double crochet, and then double crochet right into that stitch, and that's it. So just make sure that you have the same amount of stitches on both sides and you're good to go. So now you're going to be repeating this same step until you have the sizing of your breasts from side to side. So first you have to decide where you want your cup to be in the top of your dress, or the top if you are doing just a top. I did a little bit below my collarbone, and then you're going to be doing the increases. I've done down to here. So this is basically where my nipples are. That's how usually you'll know when you will reach the sizing of your boobs. You can do a little bit more than what I did. If you want to increase a little bit more the size of the cup, then you want to add more double crochets here at the beginning. So you can add 1 on each side, and it's going to just make the cup a little bit bigger. So now I'm just going to continue following the same steps as this last row here, and then I will be back once I have my 15 rows completed. So here I have my 15 rows completed, and I just want to measure this one for you. So from top to bottom it's measuring 16 centimeters, and then from side to side without stretching, remember that it does stretch quite a lot, this yarn, is 16 as well centimeters. So now for the rest of the cup, I'm going to be having 5 more rows to do here, and then 2 I'm going to be doing with decreases, and all the other 3 I'm going to be doing with no increase or decrease. So starting as before, chain 1, turn project, and double crochet into the very first stitch, and then from here you're going to double crochet until the double crochet before the chain 1. So here is the double crochet before the chain 1, So create a double crochet into that stitch, and then when you get into the chain one, instead of doing the increase, we are just going to be doing one double crochet into that stitch, into the chain one space. And then from here, we are going to continue with double crochets all the way down, following the same steps as the previous row. So I got here at the end, I'm going to be creating my last double crochet, and then I'm going to chain one, turn, double crochet into this very first stitch, and then I'm going to double crochet. We have to mark a little stitch down now. So we are going to be folding the cup in half. We are going to be finding 2 stitches that is here in the middle. So I'm going to be doing this and this. So place a stitch marker into the first one that it's going towards this way, because we have the double crochets here. We are going to be doing this way so that we can do the decrease with this and this together. All right, the 2 stitches. Create double crochets now until you reach the stitch marker. So I got here where the stitch marker is. I'm going to be removing the stitch marker, and now into the next 2 we are going to be doing a decrease. So how you do a decrease, you're going to be creating the first part of the double crochet, and then you're going to yarn over, pull through 2, keeping that last loop on the hook, and then you're going to wrap the yarn around the hook, go into the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through the next 2, keeping that last one on the hook. And then all you have to do is to yarn over and pull through all loops together. That's a decrease. And then from here, you're gonna go all the way down, creating double crochets. So row 17 now completed, chain 1, turn project, and double crochet into the first stitch available. Now you're going to be doing another row exactly like row number 17. So fold first the cup and find 2 stitches to create a decrease here in the middle. So I can see already 2 here. Place a stitch marker into the first one, and then you do exactly the same as the previous row. So double crochet onto the stitch marker, and then once you get into these 2 stitches, decrease, and then continue with double crochets. So I'm going to finish row 18 here, and then I will be back with you to show you and to let you know what you're going to be doing for row 19 and 20. So now I have row 18 completed with the decrease, and you will see that is going to create a really nice curve, the perfect curve for our breast. All right, so yeah, now it's pretty simple. You're just going to be following the same steps as before, but this time with no decrease or increases, just following the amount of stitches that we have into the previous row, and then creating double crochets on top. So once I have the next 2 rows completed following what I've just mentioned, I will be back, and then I'm going to show you what you have to do next. So now here I'm finished with row number 20. I'm going to chain 1 and fasten off, but before you fasten off, let me show you what you have to do. So we want to leave enough yarn to sew this cup into the squares that we are going to be doing, that's going to go around our rib cage. So you want to leave 3 or 4 times the sizing of the bottom of the cup. So you're going to go with the working yarn until the other side of the cup, hold it here, go to the other side. I usually do 4 times, because just to be sure, and then hold it here to the other side, and then hold it here again to the other side, and then I cut it, and now I fasten off. All right, there we go. So once you have 1 cup, go ahead and do the other one exactly the same. Leave the little tail to sew the cup in place. And now I'm going to show you how I've created my square, and also how I attach them together. I made mine all colorful, so one is going to be white, blue, white, and then the other one is going to be blue, white, blue. So I'm going to be showing you white, blue, white, and then, because this one is already completed, then I can just join so you can see how they look, all right, and how to do it. So now I'm going to be using my 5mm hook with the white yarn. Go ahead and make a magic ring, and then chain 4. 3 is going to be for the double crochet, and 1 is going to be for the chaining in between the double crochets. And then you're gonna go around the ring, create a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet around the ring, chain 1, double crochet around the ring, chain 1, and double crochet around the ring, following this same step until you have 12 double crochets in total, including the chain 3, as it counts as 1 double crochet. All right, I have here 12 double crochets, as you can see, and then at the end you're going to chain 1, close the magic ring nice and tight, and then we can just slip stitch into the 3rd chain here on the other side, so you have the 4th one just into the one before that. So chain number 3. So chain 1, cut the yarn, and then fasten off and bring the next shade you're going to be using. I'm going to be doing blue, so go ahead and create a slip knot, and then I'm going to be attaching this yarn into any chain 1 space. I like to attach this yarn with a single crochet, so you're going to be going around the chain 1 space and then pulling up a loop, and then yarn over, pull through both loops. So that's attaching with the single crochet. And after the single crochet we are going to be only chaining 1, because we're now going to be doing some clusters, these ones here. So now to create the cluster, we are going to be creating the first part of the double crochet, and then we are going to yarn over, pull through 2, keeping the last one on the hook, wrapping the yarn around the hook, inserting into that same stitch, pulling up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, keeping that last one on the hook. Here you can do as many double crochets you want. I'm going to be doing 3. So we have this, the single crochet in chain 1, which counts as the first one. Once you have the 3 on the hook, you're going to yarn over and pull through all loops together. And then we are going to chain 1, and now going into the next space available, the next chain 1 space, and then we are going to be creating another cluster. So you're going to be creating the first part of a double crochet, which is basically wrapping the yarn around the hook, inserting into the stitch that you want to create the cluster, and pulling up a loop. And then you're going to yarn over, pull through 2, keeping the last one on the hook, wrapping the yarn around the hook, inserting to that same chain 1 space, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, keeping that last one on the hook, and then you're going to be doing that one more time. So you have 3 double crochets into that same chain 1 space, and then once you have 4 loops on the hook, you're going to yarn over and pull through all loops together, just like that, and then chain 1, and then you're going to be continuing creating the clusters all the way around. So once I have my 12 clusters in total completed, I will be back and then I'll show you the next step. So I've created here my last cluster. At the end, you're going to chain 1 and then go right on top of the very first cluster. You'll see there is a stitch here. Insert your hook into that stitch, you're going to pull up a loop and then slip stitch. Now we can chain 1, we can cut the yarn, fasten off and bring the first shade again so that we can create the square all the way around. We are going to be doing a simple granny square pattern all the way around, as you can see. So with the white, I'm going to be creating a slip knot, and then you can attach into any chain 1 space in between the clusters. So I'm going to be doing this one. Into this chain 1, I'm going to be attaching with a single crochet as I usually do, and then I'm going to be chaining 2. So into this same chain one space, I'm going to be doing 2 double crochets, chain 1, into the next chain one space, I'm going to be doing 3 double crochets, so here we already can see the square forming. And then chain 1, into the next chain 1 space, I'm going to be doing a corner in which is 3 double crochets, and then you're going to chain 1, and then into that same chain 1 space we are going to be doing 3 double crochets. So for this particular project I decided to do with a chain 1 in between here the corner, but you can also do a chain 2 or a chain 3. Is going to be completely up to you. So what we are going to be doing now is repeating this same sequence 1, 2, 3 times, going around our second round. All right, so I'm going to be doing that one more time with you. So chain 1, into the next chain 1 space we are going to be doing 3 double crochets, chain 1, into the next chain 1 space, 3 double crochets, chain 1, and into the next chain 1 space, a corner. So it's going to be 3 double crochets, chain 1, and 3 double crochets into that same chain 1 space. So now you can repeat the same pattern all the way around, and then here at the end you're going to chain 1, into the chain 3, you're going to slip stitch to connect both sides together, and now we can chain 1, cut the yarn and fasten off. So the very first square has to be completed for us to attach the new one into the side here, because we are going to be doing joining as we go. So now you have one square completed. You can do the weave-ins if you want. I did for this one at the end once I had all of the squares joined together. And then you're gonna go ahead and make another one. So I made mine here. And then what you're going to be doing is leaving the last 2 corners to complete joining with this other square. So leave this one here, chain 1, and then create 3 double crochets, so that we are going to be doing half of this corner. And then you're going to be bringing the very first square, you're going to be putting behind this one, choose a corner, you can be any corner, and then you are going to be inserting into the chain 1 space, there we go, into that corner. And then you go into slip stitch, just like that. Let me show you again a little bit closer. So we are not going to chain 1 for these last 2 corners. We are going to be using the slip stitch that we are going to be joining with this other square as the chain 1. And then the same goes for all the other chain 1s too. So into the corner of the other square, insert your hook into the chain 1, pull up a loop and slip stitch. Don't chain 1 or anything like that. Now release that square, the first one, and then you're going to be completing the square that you are doing, the second one. So for this one we have to complete with 3 double crochets into this corner, because we have to complete the corner. And then we are going to now bring the other square again. You can leave the square behind this one, it's easier this way. And then you're gonna go into the other chain 1 space available. You're going to create a slip stitch exactly the same as we did for this one in the corner. And then you're going to be releasing that square and creating the three double crochets into this other square that we are attaching and joining with this very first one. So into the next chain 1 space you're going to be doing 3 double crochets. There we go. bring the other square, the first one, and then you're going to slip stitch like this, and then you're going to be completing the next 3 double crochets into the next chain 1 space. Go back into the other square, the first one, slip stitch, and now we have to do the last corner. So into this one, the last chain 1 space, we are first going to be doing 3 double crochets. Remember that we are not chaining 1. Bring the other square that we are joining into, create a slip stitch into the next corner. So this is the first one that we joined. So go into the next one available. You will see you just have to follow the square going down one side of the square. Find the other corner, into the chain 1, you're going to slip stitch. And that's the last step to join both squares together, as you can see. And then now we can just finish completing this other square. So you're going to be creating 3 double crochets into this chain 1 space, the same one, to complete the corner, and then you're going to chain 1 and then slip stitch into the chain 3 here on the other side. And then now you can chain 1, cut the yarn and fasten off. So that's how you join as you go. And that's how I did all of my squares. And I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 squares in total joined together. And to join the next one, you're going to be doing exactly the same as you did for this second square. All right, you're going to be leaving the last 2 corners to do and to join with this side. Or you can also do on this side, it's going to be completely up to you. So once you have finished the band with the squares, it's going to look something like this. And what I'm going to be doing now, it's completing the top of the dress, because then the length is going to be so much easier, and then we can try it on to check the length as well of the dress, because otherwise if we do the length first, once we try it on, it might not be what we wanted. So let's do the top first, and then later we can do the bottom. So before we attach the cups in place, I'm going to be adding just a little bit more of height here for underneath the bust, because I want a little bit more coverage for the waist and that it doesn't look super weird when we're wearing it, because we don't want this to be too high in our body. We want kind of like a nice proportion between cup, waist and hips. That's why I just want to add a little bit more rows here at the top. So as you can see here, I did wind a little bit of yarn, mixing both the white and the blue together, because for the skirt of the dress and also these detail that I'm going to be making now, I want to do with both colors together, but then it's going to be completely up to you. You can do with only one shade, or you can also do 2 different shades as I am doing now. And also that's why I am using a 6.5 millimeters for this part, because I'm using 2 yarns together, and that increases the sizing of the yarn too. All right, so choose one side to be the top, and then the other will be for the skirt of the dress. So make sure that the squares are on the right side, because now we are going to be working back and forth in 2 rows. Get both yarns. I'm going to get both, but get the next yarn you're going to be using. Create a slip knot, and we are going to be attaching into this very first corner that we can find. So go into the very first corner you can find, attach this yarn with a single crochet, or you can do any other way you want, and then I'm going to be chaining 2. So in my case here, because I am doubling the yarn, this yarn is a little bit too thick for the square, so I have to skip every other stitch for this entire row. Here, as you can see, we have 3 stitches because we have the double crochets. So I'm going to be skipping the first one into the next double crochet, skip the next stitch. Now we have the chain 1 space, so double crochet into that chain 1 space. Here we have a double crochet stitch, skip this next stitch into the following one, double crochet, So that's what I'm going to be doing, skipping a stitch and double crochet into the next one. When you get here into the joining of the squares, we have to skip a stitch, so I'm going to be creating a double crochet into the chain 1 of the corner, and then we are going to be skipping the joining of the squares. You can see this little gap, and then we are going to go into the chain 1 of the corner and then double crochet. So that's what we are going to be doing here for the very first row and for the joining as well. All right, so skip a stitch into the next double crochet. For the next joining is going to be a little bit different, so we ended up finishing here. So we're going to be skipping the chain 1 of the corner and double crochet into the joining of the square, and then skipping the chain 1 space of the square and going into the first stitch you can find. All right, and then keep on repeating the same steps until you cover all the top of the squares with double crochets, and it should work perfectly. So I'm going to be skipping the next one, and then we have the corner right at the end, the chain 1. So here's going to be our last double crochet. So I have here on top of the squares 62 double crochets, including the chain at the beginning, all right, because we are counting that as a stitch. So now to go up, I prefer doing a chain 1, turning project, and double crocheting into this very first stitch, because that gives a better finish in my opinion, but it's going to be completely up to you how you prefer doing this. And what we have to do now, just follow the stitches that we have into the previous row and creating double crochets on top of the stitches. So we are going to be having the same numbers of double crochets, so 62 double crochets for the next round 2. So when you get towards the end, make sure that you get the chain at the beginning. So we have the single crochet and then chain 1 into the second chain. It's where we are going to be creating the last double crochet. All right, so now we have 2 rows completed of double crochets. Now we have to do the squares right on top of this one, and you can also do any other combination you want. You can do some shells as well if you want in between the double crochets. That's going to be completely up to you. So to create the squares, I'm going to be starting with a chain of 4 and then turning project. Now we have to skip, so the chain, it's for this very first stitch here, so we are going to be skipping this, the next one, and then into the following stitch we are going to be doing a double crochet, just like that. And then we are going to be chaining 1, skipping a stitch, you go into the next one, double crochet, chain 1, skip the next stitch into the following one, double crochet, and that's what we are going to be repeating for this third row. If at the end you don't have the right stitch count, that's completely fine. So here I'm going to be doing my next square, and then I have just 1 stitch left, so just follow the same pattern all the way down, and then at the end just chain 1 and double crochet into that last double crochet. All right, just so that at least we have the square here at the end. And then now we are going to be doing 2 rows on top of this one with double crochets, so that we kind of have the pattern of the skirt here on the top as well. So I'm going to be starting with the chain 1. I'm going to then, because here we have skipped, but we want at the same time keep the same numbers of double crochets as this one, I'm going to be skipping this stitch and going into the chain 1 and creating a double crochet into this stitch, just skipping this. All right, so now we are going to be following what we have into the previous row and creating double crochets right on top. So here we have a double crochet stitch, so double crochet into that, and then into the chain 1, double crochet into the next stitch right here, double crochet into the chain 1, double crochet, just follow that all the way down. So when you get at the end, we are going to be having the chain 4, So you're going to first create a double crochet going around the chain like this, and then into the third chain, counting from the bottom, so 1, 2, 3, into this chain, you're going to be creating a double crochet here at the end. I like to get 2 loops, in this case 4 because I'm doubling the yarn, just so it's a little bit secure at the end, as you can see, just into that chain. And now I'm going to chain 1, turn project, double crochet into this very first stitch. Now I'm following the same steps as the second row here. So double crochet all the way down, following the stitches you have into the previous row. So as you can see, now I have the 5 rows on top of the squares completed. This fits perfectly around my waist. It goes under my boobs, and then it goes down to my waist exactly. I'm going to be putting a little clip here so that you know exactly where this section here covers in my body. We can now move on into attaching the cups in place. I'm not going to fasten off because I'm going to be using this same yarn to go around and create the detail here at the back of the dress. And also I'm going to create the detail going around the cup and also creating the straps already with this same yarn. How I'm going to be doing is finding the middle of this section, in which for me is this square. This is the middle of the waist of the dress. So make sure that you kind of mark a stitch down that it's right in the middle. I'm going to be folding it and finding a stitch that it's right in the middle. So just mark a stitch down. I'm going to be doing kind of like a pretty daring opening here at the front, but you can always cover a little bit more this section, the bust area, by overlapping the cups like this. So it creates kind of like that wrapped effect. Or you can always sew the cups and then you can just close a little bit the cleavage here as well. What I like doing is just pinning my cup in place exactly where I'm going to be sewing. So that's something that you can also do if you want. So I'm going to be sewing my cup from the middle of this square until the middle of this other square. So this is where my cup is gonna go. And then this other one is going to be exactly the same. Make sure that you are on the reverse. So here is the right side of my squares. So just turn on the reverse and we are going to be doing the sewing here on the reverse. So thread this yarn into a tapestry needle and now we can start sewing the cup. And the first stitch you're going to be using will be the one where the stitch marker is. So go through this stitch like this. And then go into the very first stitch of the cup and go through that stitch one more time. So what you're going to be doing now is try your best to fit all the stitches of the cup into all the stitches that you have here. Remember that because we are doubling the yarn, here we are going to be having less stitches than here in the cup, all right? Just as a little reminder. So I'm going to be doing 2 stitches of the cup for 1 stitch of our waist. So go into the next stitch and go into that same stitch at the beginning. So go into the next stitch of the cup and the next one of the waist and sew it together. Next stitch of the cup and the same stitch of the waistband and sew it together. So next stitch of the cup and the next stitch of the band and the next stitch of the cup and then that same last stitch of the band. And that's what I'm going to be doing here for the sewing of the cup. So just follow the same all the way down. All right, I'm getting here towards the end. Just find a stitch that it's kind of in the middle of this other square that we have to do the sewing of the cup until. So I'm going to be doing this one and then just go down, sewing the cup until this stitch. I have here 4 stitches left, so I'm going to be doing 2 for this next stitch, and then the last 2 stitches of the cup I'm going to be doing into that last stitch. Okay, find the last stitch of the cup and then the last one that we have to do for the sewing, as you can see. So I'm gonna go into the last stitch one more time and I'm going to fasten off here, so create a little loop at the end, so don't sew all the way through, and then you get the tapestry needle and then you go through this loop, and now just make it nice and tight. And with this yarn we can already weave in here at the back of the cup. Once you've done the weave in, you can go ahead and cut this yarn, and now we can sew the other cup to the other side. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. So you're going to be doing exactly the same as this one, but on the other side. So once you have finished sewing the other cup, you're gonna get at the end and you will have the cups separated like this. You can leave them like that if you want, or you can just sew a tiny little bit so they are a little bit more together like this, and that's what I'm going to be doing. So from here, I'm going to grab one little stitch from both cups and then just sewing them together like this. Maybe just 2 rows of the cup, I think that should be fine. Maybe just one more. There we go. Yeah, I'm happy with that. So once you've done this, you can do the same as we did at the end of this cup. I'm going to also weave the 2 yarns at the top of the cups so that we can move on into the next step. Oh my goodness, this is looking incredible as a top, I'm not gonna lie. Maybe we can do, oh my goodness, this is so beautiful. Oh no. Oh, we have a problem here. Now I'm doubting myself if I should do this a 2-piece set because no, let's do this as a dress because that's what I had in mind since the beginning. Maybe I can do this video again as a little top with the same kind of style as a top. I'm gonna go back to my 6.5mm hook now, and I'm going to be chaining 1 and turning my project, and I'm going to be single crocheting all the way around, and then when I get to the top here, I'm going to be creating the straps, and then I'm going to single crochet into this very first stitch and then single crochet down until you get to the cup. All right, so I got into the cup. I'm going to be changing into my 3.5mm hook for the cup portion of the top here. So going to the next stitch available and then single crochet, and then now we are going to be finding stitches and we are going to be creating single crochets going around the cup. Any stitch you can find, all right? There are no numbers to follow. I usually do 1 single crochet into the sided double crochet and then 1 single crochet in between the 2 rows. So now I'm getting towards the top of the cup. As you can see, I'm just going to be doing this last single crochet just before this very first space here that we have in between the double crochets, as you can see. So now I'm going to be changing back into my 6.5mm hook, and I'm going to be creating a chain. So this chain has to be long enough to cover the front of the cup, going around your shoulders, going down to this point, and then you have to crisscross, creating the lace down effect. And then I'm going to be also doing a little bit more here, so my lace down is gonna go down to kind of the end of my spine. So you have to make sure that you cover all that, and then you still have a little bit left to tie a bow right at the end. So this chain has to do all that. All right, I'm going to be doing mine, and then I'll let you know how many I did. So I've completed the chain, as you can see, and it's pretty long. It's 220 chains. And all I'm going to be doing now is go back with single crochets so that this chain is a little bit thicker, and so that we can go back into the cup and then go down, continuing creating the detail all the way around, so that also we don't have any weave-ins or attaching to do. So I'm going to be skipping this very first stitch into the next one, single crochet, and now I'm going to single crochet all the way down my 220 chains. So I got back into the cup, as you can see, and you want to make sure that the chain is nice and straight, and then you can just kind of twist it. It's going to twist by itself, you will see when you get here at the end, back into the top again. So just continue and make sure that the chain is nice and straight. There we go. So now we can go back and create single crochets. I'm going to have to turn this way so that I can go down. So I'm going to be changing into my 3.5 millimeters hook. I'm gonna go into this same stitch again with a single crochet. And now we can just go down, creating single crochets, following the same step as we've created here on the other side. So now I got here into the bottom of the cleavage. I'm going to do single crochets all the way down until I have just one little stitch left, which is this one. So now I'm going to be doing a decrease, grabbing one stitch from this side and one from the other. So go ahead and insert your hook into the next stitch, pull up a loop, and then you're going to pull up a loop on the other side of the cup. So we are already here on the other side. So choose another stitch, pull up a loop, and then yarn over, pull through all loops, and that's the decrease. That's the only decrease you're going to be doing here. And now we can go up into the cup, and we are going to be doing the same as we did on this other cup. Single crochet all the way around, and then when you get here at the top, you're going to be chaining 220, going back with single crochets, and then finishing off the single crochets on the other side. And then when you get to this point, you're just going to single crochet down. And then once I have all this finished, I will be back, and then I'm going to show you the next step, in which is creating the skirt of the dress. All right, so I have now the top of the dress completed. We don't have to do the crisscrossing right now because we have to do the skirt right here at the bottom, and we are going to be doing a little bit of the crisscrossing here on the skirt as well. You will see what I mean. So this is how the top looks like once you have it all completed. It looks really cute. I love this top so much. I have to make this top separate so that I can wear during summertime. So now I'm going to be making the skirt of the dress. So make sure that the squares are on the right side, and we are going to be attaching the yarn into the corner of the square, of this very first square. So go ahead with the yarn that you want to do the skirt. I'm doubling the yarn using the same as I did here for the waist. I'm going to be creating a slip knot and attaching to the corner of the square with a single crochet. And then I'm going to chain 2, and now I'm going to double crochet all the way down. So no skipping, just double crochets following every stitch that you have into the squares. When you get into the joining of the squares, you're going to be doing a double crochet into the chain 1 of the corner, and then you're going to be doing a double crochet into the joining, the slip stitch joining of the squares, and then a double crochet into the chain one here on the other side. All right, so you will cover all the stitches and you will see that it's going to become a little bit wavy, just a little bit. That's why we had to skip here on the other side. Now just carry on creating double crochets into every stitch all the way down. So as you can see, I have finished the very first row of double crochets all the way across. Now I'm going to be doing one more row of double crochets and then the square, exactly like here, the square row. And then once I have these three completed, I will be back and then I'll show you what to do next, because then we are going to be joining both sides and then working in rounds to crochet the skirt of the dress. So once you've done the 3 rows, double crochets and squares, we have now to join the sides together and start working the length of the dress. You want to first make sure that the squares are on the right side. So I'm going to just turn here on the reverse, so the right side is facing the table, and we are going to be bringing the other side and we are going to be joining the two together. So bring both sides, and all we have to do is to join into the 3rd chain with a slip stitch. Now we have the back of the dress here, we have the right side on the outside so that we work the double crochets nicely, and they will be also on the right side of the dress. So now to go up into rounds, you are going to be starting with first the double crochets all the way around. We are going to be doing that for 2 rounds, and then the squares. We are going to be repeating the same pattern sequence until we have the length that we want for the dress. So following the same steps as we did for the waist here, you are just going to be creating the double crochets on top of the squares. And then once I have the double crochets on top of the squares, once I'm right here at the end, I will show you how you finish it off. When you get at the end, you're going to be just following the stitches, and then here, once you have the double crochet and the joining of both sides, you're going to be making a double crochet into the double crochet stitch here, and then creating a double crochet or into this little stitch here or around this space. Into the 3rd chain here on the other side, you're going to slip stitch. So now we are going to be starting to go around. I like to start with a chain of 1 and then double crochet into this same stitch where we did the slip stitch, like this. And then from here, we can just double crochet all the way around. So I got here back to the beginning, I just have to do my last double crochet. And then all you have to do when you get to this point is go into this very first double crochet and slip stitch. And now we can start with the squares. So we are going to chain 4. And then you're going to be skipping the next stitch into the following one. Going to be creating a double crochet, so exactly the same as we've been doing here. And you're gonna go all the way around, creating the squares. Just keep on following the pattern. So here I have 3 stitches left, 1, 2, and 3. So I'm going to be skipping 1 into the next. I'm going to be creating a double crochet. And then at the end should work perfectly. So skip the next stitch, chain 1 into the 3rd chain here on the other side. You're going to slip stitch, and here we have the squares. Now you're going to chain 1 and then double crochet into that same stitch. And now you can just follow the pattern all over again. So here we have the back of the dress. As you can see, we are going to be doing the lace down all the way to here. And then now I'm going to be continuing following the pattern sequence until I have the length of the dress. I'm not sure if I want to do the slit as I've mentioned at the beginning of the video. I think I'm just gonna see how it looks without the slit. Otherwise, if I am doing the slit, I will be back and then I can show you how to do that. But it's very simple. You're just going to be doing exactly the same as we did here, back and forth, until you have the slit right at the end of the dress. All right, so as you can see, I've completed the length of my dress. I'm not going to be adding the slit because I really liked how it looks without it. So from here, I'm going to be moving into the next step. I've done 20 rounds for the length. So from here, right after the squares, all the way down, 20 rounds. You can do a little bit longer if you want, or even shorter. It's going to be completely up to you. So I'm going to now fasten off right here because I'm going to be changing into the blue yarn, and we are going to be just doing a little finishing here at the bottom, and that's basically our dress completed. This is basically the last step now. So I'm going to fasten off, cut my yarn, fasten off. I'm gonna get my blue yarn. So I'm going to be using my 5mm hook for the finishing detail. And I'm going to be doing here at the bottom of the skirt just probably 2 rounds of single crochets, just so that we have like a little finishing at the end with one color. You can choose any other shade, or you can also do with both shades together as well. So I'm going to be doing a slip knot and attaching into any stitch around. I'm going to be attaching with a single crochet. So into the same stitch, we are going to be doing 2 single crochets. This one is going to be counting as the first one. So into that same stitch, 2 single crochets, and then into the next stitch, 2 single crochets, into the next one, 2 single crochets, next one, 2 single crochets. Make sure that you're doing this on the right side as well of the dress. Next stitch, 2 single crochets, and then just do the same all the way around, creating 2 single crochets into every stitch going around the bottom of the dress. So I was going to do 2 rounds of single crochets here at the bottom, but I really like how it looks with only 1 round all the way around. So it's going to be up to you if you want to do 1 or 2 or any other edging you want to do. All right, I'm going to finish now here my last stitch with 2 single crochets, and then I'm going to be finding the very first one, going to that stitch, and then I'm going to slip stitch, chain 1, cut the yarn, and then I'm going to fasten off and weave in all of the yarns that I have around my project. All right, weave in completed. I just had those yarns here at the back. So here for the strap, you can decide if you want to do crossed at the back, or you can just go straight down. I want to do going straight down like this, but you can also do any other way you want. All right, so I'm going to keep them nice and straight like this. So I'm going to be starting here on the right side. I'm going to be using the row here with the squares to do my very first one. So I'm just going to be passing the strap through that square, and then do the same here on the other side. The very first square. There we go. You want to make sure that you leave nice and loose so that you can go in the dress. So now we can just crisscross all the way down into any stitch you want. I'm going to be doing into the next one with the squares, and I'm going to be doing going inside like this, not going on the outside. All right, not going like this. I'm gonna go towards the inside like that. Next side. So we are going to be doing on this corner so that we have a similar space in between all of the crisscrossing like that. And then I'm going to be going into this middle stitch into the square. And then I'm gonna go into the corner. And then for the last one, I'm just gonna be using the squares here right at the end. All right, I'm going to be skipping all the double crochets here. If you want, you can use the double crochets here as well to crisscross, but it's going to be up to you. And this one I'm going to be doing towards the outside like this. And then here at the end, we can tie a little bow with the end of the strap. Are we ready to see this beautiful dress that we've just created? I am so in love with this dress. Look at it. Oh my god, I cannot believe that I've actually made this. I don't usually crochet dresses that much, but I think I should start again crocheting dresses. I used to before when I've started the channel, and then I completely forgot about dresses, and look at this, it's so beautiful. Here's the back. I cannot wait to try this on and do the little intro for you guys because it's looking incredible, this dress. And what I love the most about this dress is that it goes in on the waist. It's perfectly to fit around the waist, and then it just goes out into this beautiful flowy skirt. Looks so cute. If you're going to be making it, let me know the colors, the shades you're going to be using for this dress. Also the square that you're going to be using. You can use any other square you want. It's going to look amazing. Also any other stitch you want for here, the skirt of the dress, and also for just under the cups here as well. You can use any other stitch. You don't have to use what I've used. You can customize to your liking. So yeah, here we have the dress now completed. I really hope you guys have enjoyed this journey with me crocheting this dress. I am so impressed. It took me 2 days to complete this entire dress. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm so shocked because 2 days to make a dress that looks this good? No. Also, I cannot wait to share with you how I'm going to be putting this dress together with all the makeup and hair and everything that I'm going to be doing for the challenge. So stay tuned for that because we are going to be posting this week actually. It's going to be the 1st of April. So you can go ahead and check it out if it's already on Instagram. I cannot stop smiling. I really love this dress. I cannot wait for summertime so I can wear this out. So if you end up making this beautiful dress, don't forget to tag me on Instagram at Brunaticality so that I can see how yours turned out, and also to share some love with you because I love seeing the creations you do following the tutorials here on the channel, even if it's just inspirational, but at least you did something that you really like with the stitches that you like, but the idea was from the tutorial. So yeah. This is it for today's video, everyone. I really hope you guys have enjoyed again today's video, and if you did, don't forget to leave your massive thumbs up, and also don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you can watch more tutorials just like this one. So thank you again for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye bye.